Hey everyone, welcome to MagicGatheringStrat. This is the inaugural episode of Ferocious Finance, and I am your host, Ferociousllama. We're going to be talking about Magic the Gathering Online financial investments we think you should make. Cards to buy, cards to sell, long-term investments, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why. And once I get some feedback, if you guys want to hear more about why, what the theory is, we can talk about that, or we can just stick to recommendations. So go ahead and after you watch the video, leave your comments and likes and dislikes and let me know what you think, and we'll see if we can go ahead and make those changes and get this to be a video you guys really like to watch. One thing I do want to say is that all these investment tips, they are speculative, so there's no guarantee the price of these cards is going to go up, and past performance is no guarantee of future performance. But our first buy recommendation is the Hall of Triumph. We think that the Khans of Tarkir block is going to be a block with a lot of, like a weenie kind of block with a lot of small creatures, and we think that, and as well as Ravnica rotating out of standard, I think a monocolored thing is going to be a little bit more of a, monocolored decks are going to be more of a likely thing to be good. And making all your creatures of your monocolored deck bigger is probably going to be awesome, especially based on what we think about Khans. Our next recommendation is Brimaz, King of Oreskos. Brimaz is a legendary creature, cat soldier, 2 white and a colorless, with vigilance. When he attacks, put a 1/1 white cat soldier creature token into play with vigilance that's also attacking, and whenever he blocks, put a 1/1 white cat soldier creature token with vigilance into play that's also blocking whatever creature Brimaz is blocking. We think he's a great token generator. He's actually the most expensive card right now out of Born of the Gods, and we think he's going to be even better as the next standard season rolls around. So pick up your Brimazes now. I think last I checked was a day or two ago, and he was about $12. So pick him up now. I think he's going to go up. Our next buy recommendation is Aegis of the Gods. He's a 1 white and 1 colorless mana, hate bear, enchantment creature, human soldier. Gives you hexproof, and he's a 2/1 for 2 mana. And 2/1 for 2 mana is not the greatest thing ever, but add an awesome ability like you have hexproof makes him awesome. In modern he prevents you from getting Liliana'd or burned. They have to burn him first, and in standard keeps you from getting thought seized. So we think he's going to be a card that's going to have long-term value, so go ahead and invest in your Aegis of the Gods now and watch him go up. Our next buy recommendation is Heliod, God of the Sun. He's a legendary enchantment creature with a creature type god. He's 1 white mana and 3 colorless. He's indestructible, which is awesome, and but as long as your devotion to white is less than 5, he's not a creature, he's just an enchantment. But he grants all of your other creatures vigilance, and you can pay 2 white and 2 colorless to put a 2/1 white cleric enchantment creature token into the battlefield. And when he does become a creature, he's a 5/6. So he's hefty, he's 4 mana, and he works really great. We think the reason that he's going to be good in the next standard season is that he's a big 5/6 for 4 mana, makes weenies, gives your weenies vigilance, and we think that because it's going to be like a weenie type of block, or a, maybe a tribal theme block, I don't know, but some kind of like a horde of creature kind of block is what I'm going to call it. We think that Heliod's going to be phenomenal in that standard environment. Alright, our final buy recommendation for this episode is going to be the Temples from Theros block. They are 2 colored lands. They're available in all 10 color combinations, and they come into play tapped, and they let you scry 1 when they come into play. Pretty sweet deal, especially when you look at like the Ravnica shock lands. If you play 1 tapped, this is actually better than playing a Ravnica block land tapped. And yeah, they don't have the subtypes of the land types like the Ravnica lands do, but the time that those lands really shine is when there are fetch lands, which there are not in standard, and we'll talk about if there will be anytime soon later in another episode. But I recommend picking them up. They're all very inexpensive right now, and I think the most expensive one is the green-black, and it's still not very expensive. So I recommend picking them up because there's No allied colored standard mana fixing in Magic 15. So I think these are gonna, especially the allied color lands, I think they're gonna really shine during the next standard season. So go ahead and pick yours up. I've already picked mine up. Voice of Resurgence is our first sell recommendation. The reason we're recommending sell Voice of Resurgence is he's rotating out of standard shortly. He's awesome, great card. Not saying he's not, but I think that he's going to go down in value because he is getting really stale in standard. And once Cons comes out, he's rotating out, and then the only place he'll have is really modern because he doesn't really see legacy or vintage play. So go ahead and get rid of your Voice of Resurgence now before they drop in value. Our next sell recommendation is Vendilion Clique. The Vendilion Clique, I don't know if everybody knows what it does great. If not, it's a 2 blue and a colorless 3/1 flying creature with flash. When he comes into play, you look at target player's hand, choose a non-land card from it, and they put it on the bottom of the library and then draw a card. You don't have to make them do that. You can let them keep their hand, or you can do it to yourself if you have a card that's dead against your opponent. He's great in Modern. And I've actually seen him in some Legacy and a tiny bit of Vintage. But he's especially great in Modern. If you have blue and you're playing Modern, you probably have Vendilion Clique, most likely. You may not, but most of the time you do, especially like any kind of blue control build is going to have Vendilion Clique. The reason we're recommending selling him is the Modern season is coming to an end, and we think he's going to drop in value and he won't go back up until next summer when they have another Modern Pro Tour qualifier season. So get rid of yours now and wait until next year to pick some more up. Mutavaults we recommend selling because yes, it is a great creature. It is amazing. It has seen play in Standard and Modern. I have not seen it in Legacy or Vintage, but it's rotating out Standard and it's really dropped a lot in value. Since February, it's dropped from about $25 down to I think about $15 right now. So I say get rid of them now and watch them fall, and then pick them up after they rotate out of Standard. But for right now, our recommendation is to sell. Blood Moon is the second to last sell recommendation. We recommend selling Blood Moons because they are very high right now because they are awesome in Modern. I don't see them too much in Legacy or Vintage, but in Modern, they're great against a lot of the decks like Jund and UWR control. Anything that has more than 2 colors, it's usually very good against. It's awesome in Modern. That's really the only format it's played in. Modern season's coming to an end. We recommend selling it. Our final sell recommendation are these Zendikar fetch lands. Yes, they are great in Modern, and they have seen some Legacy and Vintage play. They're great because they can search up any basic land. They can search up any dual land that has one of the types that they'll search for, and the Ravnica Shocklands, which is why they're also good in Modern. And the Modern Pro Tour qualifier season is coming to an end, and they're going to drop in value a lot more than they're going to drop to a lot lower than they are. I'm sorry. And so we recommend selling them now, picking them up at a later time before the next Pro Tour qualifier season. And I just want to put one caveat about the Zendikar fetch lands. If you use them and play with them, you can keep a play set. But if you have any you've invested in specifically to sell, now's the time. Alright, this next section is going to be long-term buy recommendations is what we're calling them. And I know the slide just says buy recommendations, but these are for long-term, not for watching the seasons. These are really more buy them, watch them go up over time, and then sell them. Library of Alexandria. Library of Alexandria never really had a home in MTGO before, and it's very expensive in paper, but it's never really had a home in MTGO because there was really no Vintage format. There was Classic. I don't really know anything about Classic, to be honest with you, but now that there's Vintage, it's playable. It can actually be played, and in any deck, any kind of control deck I've played since I started playing Vintage, when Vintage Masters came out online, has Library of Alexandria. It's a great card, works great. It's a land that taps for a colorless mana, or you can tap to draw a card if they have 7 cards in their hand. So, pretty sweet. Doesn't matter on resolution, it only matters on the activation, kind of like Tectonic Edge. So, anyway, we recommend picking up Library of Alexandria. I think they're only a few dollars, so pick yours up now and watch your money grow. The next card we're going to recommend for a long-term investment is Mana Drain. Mana Drain is a counter spell. It costs the same as counter spell, except it has the added benefit of add X to your mana pool during your next main phase, where X is the converted mana cost of the spell you countered. Back in the old days, this was kind of a drawback, and I actually used to see tournaments. I remember one time at Gen Con when they used to have it in Anaheim. I live near Anaheim, by the way. Which is why I was there. I saw a game where a guy mana drained I think it was a memory jar, and during his next main phase he had 5 mana, forgot about it, and a judge happened to be standing there, and he lost 5 life to mana burn. They don't have mana burn anymore, so mana drain got considerably better. Even though it's not a free counter spell, it still costs 2 mana, there's no way to cast it for free without some other spell that probably costs mana. So but Mana Drain is a card. It's only playable in Vintage. It's banned in Legacy, but I have a feeling it could be unbanned at some point in time because it's good, but it's not so good. It's not Gush. It's not Tolarian Academy. It's not anything like that. So it is a very good counterspell, but we think it's going to go up, especially in the long term, because it's not a card that it's a card Wizards has admitted they're never going to reprint for any kind of standard text. It's just too good for that. But it may, I don't know if it's ever going to get reprinted another Vintage Masters 2 or Legacy Masters, or well, probably not Legacy Masters. But anyway, we think it's going to go up over the long term because it's a great card and it's a mythic rare from Vintage Masters. Next recommendation is Mishra's Workshop. Mishra's Workshop is a reusable Black Lotus for artifacts only. It doesn't let you use it on activated abilities of artifacts, but it lets you tap it to add 3 colorless mana to your mana pool to play artifacts, which is super, super sweet. It's super duper sweet, actually. And it untaps every turn. There's no special restriction or anything. The only restriction is you have to use the mana for artifacts. And when this card was printed, I'm sure it wasn't that great because there weren't any insane artifacts to play. But now, it's insane. It's going up already in value. Stacks, or Mud, whichever you prefer, is the second most played deck in Vintage right now. Vintage Online. And the price is already going up of this card. Super powerful, and we think it's going to go up. It's a mythic rare from Vintage Masters. So I've already picked mine up, so pick yours up and watch your money grow. And I do want to also point out that this is a long-term investment. This isn't something that's going to go up in a couple of months. It's going to take a couple of years for you to make. You'll make good money, great percentage, but it's going to take time. And our final long-term investment recommendation is the Power 9. The Power 9 is first time available online in Vintage Masters. All the cards are very expensive. They're dropping a little bit in value, from yesterday to today. But that's kind of how they go, is they seem to go up and down. As the weekend approaches, they seem to go up because more people play on the weekends, I guess, and want to buy them, and then they kind of drop a little bit. But overall, we think in the long term, these will do nothing but go up. I mean, it's just like back when I was a kid. A friend of mine had, 4 sets of every card from Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, and Arabian Nights, and then Antiquities, and then he decided he wanted to stop playing and sell his cards. He was selling Moxes, loaded, anything from the Power 9, $60. And I kind of wish I'd bought them, because I'd be rich now. So, we think the same thing's going to happen online, so go ahead and pick yours up. If you want to put that kind of money into Magic Gathering Online. I would say that's the only reason you wouldn't want to invest in these 9 cards, is that they are very expensive and it's a lot of investment. But if you're up for that, go for it, because we don't think you'll lose any money. Alright, and those are all of our buy and sell recommendations for this episode of Ferocious Finance, presented by MagicGatheringStrat. Go ahead and leave your comments, likes, dislikes, anything you want to see in the future, any cards you want to know about, let us know. We'll talk about it in a future episode. So thank you for watching, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching.